WIBTA if I broke up with my dying boyfriend. Throwaway because my BF has read it. I, 26M, and my boyfriend, 27M, will have been dating and living together for 3 years this October 2nd. I want to start this by saying I loved him very much and still do to an extent, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation. We met in college 4 years ago and were good friends before we started dating. He's bi, and NGL I thought he was straight for a long time because he had a GF at the time, as well as pin-up style, fully clothed, pictures of women on his walls. Our relationship was great for a long time, we were healthy emo and very positive influences on each other. He helped me stop vaping and helped me get a new job, and I helped him work through trauma and some pretty bad memories he had from childhood. But in the last 2 years or maybe more, he started being snippy and distant more and more. It started off slow and infrequently, maybe once a month, to recently where it's every minute of every day. He would be passive-aggressive at me for something tiny, like forgetting to close the dishwasher soap container all the way, or being slow to text back. I dismissed it as stress, but it progressed to him making me feel crazy. I would complain about something at work and he would tell me I was overreacting, being stupid and my problems weren't problems. Which yeah, I was overreacting, but I thought I could vent to my partner. Once I explained, after him nagging me, why I like using a certain hair gel and he would insist relentlessly that it was a waste of money, the whole container is $6, and that I didn't need to use it. I explained I like how it looks and he would just double down that I didn't need it. Eventually I stopped using it because I couldn't stand the conversation anymore. I feel like a shell of myself as I type this and realize I have suppressed so many things I liked and did before, just so that he wouldn't question me or start a long argument. When I finally brought up his behavior and said I didn't want this to be my life anymore, he kind of broke down and said he was under a lot of pressure at work and he'd been having pain in his joints and felt very tired all the time. I told him it was probably burnout and to see a doctor if he wanted, but I needed him to be nicer going forward. He said he'd go and apologized like crazy. Welp. It was cancer. Stage 3. I realized how much I loved him and I let myself get more attached to him. He started to treat me better over time, and his family told me how lucky they felt to have me in his life. He quit working for treatment and I took on the bills. Since he was being nicer, I felt that I had got the person I wanted to marry back. He and I, as well as his family, pulled together a lot to try to help him heal. It was nice since my family isn't in my life. At a gathering, his very sweet dad pulled me aside and thanked me for taking such good care of his son. I almost cried ISTG. While undergoing treatment, my boyfriend naturally stopped having a sex drive, which is totally fine and completely understandable. I wanted him to get better no matter what, and I kept paying our rent and utilities so he could rest at home. After months of treatment, he reached remission and I was elated. His family had a party for him and I remember feeling so proud. Things were finally going to be really good again, and I wasn't going to have to work so hard to make rent. He physically improved slowly and started looking healthy again. I was sure he'd go back to work. But he didn't go back to work. He started applying to online jobs but didn't get hired and basically gave up. Eventually I was like, "Babe, you need to get a job, it's been 4 months now," and he'd ignore me or start a fight. He was depressed and emotionally exhausted after the treatments he had to go through. We didn't have sex while he was in remission even though he got his drive back. I know he did because he started leaving solo sex toys out and lube stains on the bed. I didn't really say anything about it for a while until eventually I walked into his room after he left Corn open on his screen. It was pages of BBC stuff, and I am Asian. I felt awful about myself after that, because obviously to him watching a video featuring someone who has something I don't is a lot more preferable to doing the real thing with me. I got drunk with my friends and actually cried about my entire situation. I don't think I have cried since I was 13. It really sucked because in my head he was really in love with me and liked me the most, but I guess not. He also had a naked AI girlfriend on his phone that he left on the bathroom counter. Like, did he want me to see this shit? I basically sank into depression and stopped interacting with him as much. He didn't even really notice that I'd just agree with anything he said where before it'd be a fight. But sometimes he'd be really sweet and he got another job finally. We're both on the lease of our apartment so I can't go anywhere until next April. I can't afford my half of the rent and another place. My family moved to California so I can't really ask them for help and we aren't on the best of terms because, 2 days ago I was basically preparing to break up anyway and just be roommates as much as I hated the idea, when he went for a checkup after feeling fatigue and had poor blood test results. His cancer is now back and his prognosis is not good. Probably less than a year, 1 year if he's really lucky. Yesterday he sat me down and apologized sincerely for everything and told me I could leave if I wanted. He didn't want me to have to see him pass away. He kissed my forehead and cuddled me while I cried and I felt like a disc for making my terminally ill boyfriend comfort me. He told me he had wanted to marry me and he was sorry he let himself treat me so bad. I could tell this wasn't a manipulation tactic or anything. I think realizing his death was coming opened his eyes. He started crying with me and apologized so much. I told him I needed to think about what was best for everyone. I'm typing this on my bathroom floor at 2 a.m. and I just feel crushed. If I leave, I'm going to feel like I left the person I loved more than anything to die alone. But I can't do this anymore. I can't fucking watch him die, I can't go to his funeral, but I can't feel like I abandoned him. Please, I really need advice. I'm fucking exhausted and I don't know what I have left in me. Probably almost nothing. I appreciate everyone reading this.